Hello all of you lovely individuals and welcome back to another video for the day. We're going back into r/am I the a-hole, and yeah, unfortunately a-holishness is not going away anytime soon. So you know what? You guys know what to do. Do this down below, but let go. Am I the a-hole for not giving up my seat and embarrassing the woman who demanded my seat? A few years ago, I, 16F, lost my left leg in an accident. I've been using a prosthetic leg since then, and because my family is well off, it is a pretty advanced one to the point where it just looks like I just have two normal legs whenever I wear long trousers, which I usually do because I'm very self-conscious about showing my prosthetic. These days, I can pretty much do anything I like without issues, walking, running, going upstairs, etc. The main issue is keeping my balance when there are sudden changes in movement, in places like trains and buses, which is where the topic of the post comes in. I was riding the train and sat down in the seat reserved for disabled, elderly, and pregnant women. It was very busy, so there were no other seats available, and a few stops later, a woman came up to me telling me I needed to move, because she needed that seat, and I shouldn't be sitting there. I told her I was sorry, but I need the seat myself. She got all argumentative, and that I just need to get up, because the seat is meant for the elderly, and I'm just a lazy kid who is more than capable of standing. I again apologized and said I really needed to seat myself. She left and got the train conductor, who also told me to get up from the seat. I was really done with being treated this way, so I rolled up my trouser leg and showed them my prosthetic and told her I wasn't going to move. She suddenly got very red-faced and mumbled something before she got off at the next station. Am I the a-hole? I could have said that I have a prosthetic right away, but it's a really touchy subject for me, and it makes me feel very self-conscious. That's why I always wear long trousers, and nobody can see or has to know. 100% not the a-hole in the situation. Very much, I can understand being self-conscious about something, and at the same time, I get the very good feeling that that lady didn't really need the seat for herself, and was just more so trying to make an issue out of nothing. I've had to deal with people that are just so stubborn and so belligerent that even if you did tell them without rolling up your sleeve for your pants, that she probably wouldn't even accept that as actual fact or anything. Very much people like this are the people that they have to have the physical thing shown to them for them to in order to believe it. They can't just be told and have that be the words. Like earlier, you could have just told her, well, I have a prosthetic, I can't do this, and she wouldn't have said, well, I don't see it, I don't believe it. See, that kind of logic that unfortunately is all too common. Am I the a-hole for telling my wife I don't care about her dreams? My wife wants to be an influencer on TikTok and YouTube. She has been creating mommy content and content about her day-to-day life. When she told me this is something she wanted to do, I didn't have any problem with it. I only said that I don't want our children, 4M and 2F, in any of her content. I didn't monitor her channel because it didn't really seem necessary. I recently watched her channel because I thought it would be cute to see what she does in her day-to-day life. I found our children's faces in almost all of her content. I told her straight up that she needs to remove all of her content. She said that she knew I wouldn't agree, but she doesn't think that it is a big deal. I don't like children content. I feel like a lot of the time when you see that children make profit, they become less of your kids and more of a product, and your interactions become more performative. And I can see the same thing has happened in her because she posted a video of her getting our 2-year-old out of a tantrum and how she deals with it, but how is your first instinct to record and hold a camera whilst our baby is crying? She started crying, saying that she built this up and this is her dream, and deleting her content will ruin it. And I said I don't simply give a darn. If you don't delete it, I will consider a divorce. I know a lot of people have children on their social media, and I don't mind an Instagram or Facebook post, but to make videos seems too intimate to share. She told her friends, and even hinted on her social media accounts, that she has an over-controlling and narcissistic husband that doesn't want her on social media, and am currently being ridiculed by her friends. Am I being over-controlling or narcissistic? Edit. Someone asked what kind of content. The content isn't really harmful, it's just her feeding them and playing with them. But the two types of videos I have problem with is her recording our children's tantrums, and our 2-year-old still doesn't like clothes. We are trying to get her to wear them more, but our house can be hot, so she is in a diaper a lot. I don't like the videos of our daughter in diapers. No, I'd say you're not the a-hole in this one, very much. Your wife's friends laughing about you because you have a problem with her recording your kids' tantrums definitely is very weird in itself. And I can understand not wanting to have your kid on the internet, because there are some very weird people on the internet. That's an absolute guarantee, unfortunately, and it really does suck. And on top of that, all the family channels that we've seen that get absolutely dark, yeah, no, that's not helping her case either. If you have a kid and the kid is throwing a tantrum and your first action that you think is justifiable and the right thing to do is to grab a camera and record instead of take care of the kid, that's not a good parenting technique at all. Getting into content creation is absolutely fantastic because a lot of times people start it out as a hobby, and when it turns into something that can actually be profitable, that is only fueling your motivation in it all. But it still sounds kind of weird because it feels like more so you're using your kids more so than just genuinely having fun with your kids. Like, the kid shouldn't be something that you need to have on the camera all the time. Am I the a-hole for telling my downstairs neighbors that me expressing milk for my preemie baby will be my priority over his sleep? So my daughter was born over 3 months early. She's doing okay, but she still has periods where she badly desats, or braddies, where she stops breathing, oxygen saturation drops in her body, and she goes bright blue. She does this at least once a day, and because of this, she is in the NICU, with no current projection for when she is coming home. The only thing I can do to help her is to give her cuddles and provide her milk, which means expressing for 20 minutes minimum on each boob every 2 to 3 hours, including overnight. I have also had problems with fleas in my home. They've been awful for everyone in my area this year. So I've torn up all of the carpets and thrown away my sofa and mattress. So I'm currently sleeping on the floor on a blow-up mattress with my fiance. This means that any noise that I make, no matter how much I try to minimize it, carries downstairs to my neighbor. I express milk overnight, once at 11:30 p.m., 1 a.m., and then at 6:30 a.m. My neighbor downstairs knocked on my door this morning and complained about my 1 a.m. alarm waking him up. I apologized and told him that I can't turn off that specific alarm because it's the expression that impacts my milk flow, and doing that expression will prompt me to produce more milk over the day. I'm already under enough stress that my milk flow has already been impacted. I was producing around 100 milliliters, and I'm down to 50 to 70 milliliters. I need the alarms because I cannot miss my expressions. I already feel guilty enough that I'm not producing as much as I was. I explained all of this to him, and he was still said that it wakes him up and that he can't sleep after it wakes him up. I again apologized and said to him that I can set my alarm between 1 a.m. and 3:30 a.m., and he can choose from between those times. He says I should just turn the alarm off, and I responded that I can't, because I can't afford to sleep through my expressions times. He then said that I should express after 5 a.m., which isn't possible because the hormones that help produce more milk are at their peak between 1 a.m. and 4 a.m. He complained about it waking him up again, and I angrily responded that my daughter is premature. She needs my milk, and I will do everything I can to make sure she's got as much as she needs, including waking you up at 1 a.m. because I need to express. She is my priority, not your sleep. I closed the door in his face. I just spoke to one of my friends, and she is telling me that I'm the a-hole because my daughter is eating every 3 hours, and I'm making just enough milk every time for at least one meal for her. So it won't hurt to not express the 1 a.m. expression, but it honestly is the most important expression for milk production. So Reddit, am I the a-hole for not stopping expressing at 1 a.m. even though I know it wakes up my neighbor? ETA, many people have suggested that I put the phone on vibrate, which would be a fantastic solution if it wasn't for the fact that I have slept straight through having injections or having a cannula put in. I was awoken long enough to give permission to have it put in. I'm open to solutions, but putting my phone on vibrate isn't going to work. ETA 2. I gave him noise-canceling earplugs and explained the situation when I first came home from the hospital. We also pulled the carpets 4 days before I went into labor, so it's not something that we could control. We have to leave the flea solution to work for 2 weeks of the firm has already been booked to have new flooring put in after 2 weeks. ETA 3. I've been asked to add this because it gives context to my neighbor's view regarding noise. He apparently needs absolute silence, noise, or vibrations doesn't seem to matter. He made a noise complaint, and when I moved in, because I flushed my toilet at night, and then again when my cat jumped down from her cat tree to get food or water at night. I've learned every squeaking floorboard in my home because if I stand on one and the squeak wakes him up, he'll scream and bang on the ceiling. This will be my last edit. I am no longer going to be reading comments here or via PMs, as there have been some pretty heinous messages sent to me. I get it, Reddit, I'm the a-hole, but to have people tell me my daughter should stop breathing and die is unacceptable, and I have reported that specific message and blocked that user. This is quite enough internet for a while. Okay, people sending you those very rude messages, very uncalled for, but at the same time, telling your neighbor, yeah, I'm not going to stop just because it wakes you up and, you know, tough titty, all that jazz, that doesn't make you be in a good light either, ma'am. Especially after your friends stated that, yeah, kinda what you were doing was a douche move, and yet you still continued. So, yeah, no, very much. You come off as the a-hole in the situation. Am I the a-hole for laughing at my housemate when he suggested I not shower on my period? I, 31F, live in a share house. One of my housemates, Jack, M30, has never lived with a woman outside of his mother, but likes to say that he is aware of women's issues and calls himself a feminist. For instance, he doesn't agree with the saying, no uterus, no opinion, because it's my job to be informed about any issues that could affect me if I become a father or husband, which is fine until it came to this issue. So, like most biological women, I have periods. I, however, cannot use tampons or cups due to a condition called I'm sorry, I can't pronounce that. Vaginismus? It's a pad all the time for me. Yay! I know, the shock, shower during this time. Wow, I prepare a new pad onto the clean pair of undies, shower as normal, dry myself off in the shower, and then step straight into the undies. And obviously check the bathroom for a mess. Jack's never complained, nor has anyone else, so I figured my system was working. Cue today, and I can't shower for 48 hours due to a heart monitor test. I was jokingly complaining about how I was going to survive without my nightly shower, and Jack looked up and confused and said, "How is this any different than when you're on your period?" I asked him what he meant, and he said, "Well, you can't shower on your period unless you use a tampon." And I laughed because I thought he was joking. He has shown before that he was at least semi-educated on women, which he got angry at. Jack said, "Wait, well, what do you do?" And I said, slowly, "I shower?" I wasn't getting it, I'm afraid. Jack said, "Without protecting my bathroom?" He does not own the house, and then went off. Apparently, my period is unhygienic. It can cause infection if left in the shower floor, and he was under the impression that I hadn't been showering for a week when I had my period or using tampons. I said that due to the reasons I can't use tampons, and he told me that I'm banned from showering when I'm on my period, which I laughed again, at which I did apologize for saying, "I'm sorry for laughing, but the audacity of that statement." I told Jack he has no way of enforcing this, nor would I be sticking to this, and he said, "Fine. Then, every time you shower, you need to bleach the bathroom afterwards." To which I couldn't help but laugh again, apologizing, but saying, "We're in a shared house. That's not reasonable when other people need to shower/use the toilet, and considering I'm sure at least somebody else pees in the shower, it's ridiculous to only enforce on me." I brought that that up, and he said, "Nobody does that. I've never heard of that in my life." So I just had to walk away. Jack's been complaining to other housemates about this and saying that we need to watch out for me, and we all just think he's absurd for banning me. But a couple think that I should at least try and compromise, so I'm confused. Am I the a-hole? No, your roommate's just a dummy. I'm honestly not sure what got it into his head that he thinks that you just don't shower when you're on your period, and very much you are making efforts to clean any type of mess that happens to come from having your period while you're showering, which means that until you mentioned it to him, he was none the wiser and just thought that everything was all nice and dandy. Yeah, then also that whole my house, my rules mentality he's trying to have, that only works if you actually own the house, which he don't. And even then, he's still sounding stupid. Am I the a-hole for giving my son's bedroom to our foster child? My husband and I have been foster parents for over a decade. 2 months ago, we had 4 minor children living in our home. Our 12-year-old biological son, our 8 and 5-year-old adopted sons, and our 21-month-old foster son, our 22-year-old foster daughter who still lives at home with us, and my 19-year-old son spent the summer back home after his freshman year of college. We also have other adult children who don't live at home, but not really relevant. 7 weeks ago, we got a call for an emergency placement of 5 siblings, 17F, 12F, 10M, 7F, and 6M. We only had 2 spare bedrooms, but had enough spare beds in storage to make it work with the girl in one room and the boys in the other. It now looks like we are going to be fostering the 5 of them for considerably longer than we thought when they were placed with us. Because of the large age gaps between the girls, having them share more long-term isn't really ideal. We already moved the boys a few weeks ago. We bought a triple bunk for our 8 and 5-year-old room and moved the 6-year-old in with them. And we put the 10-year-old's bed into our 12-year-old's room, and this allowed the 17-year-old girl to get her own room and the 2 younger girls to share. None of this created any drama with the boys. We're all more than happy to share rooms with each other. Now that my 19-year-old is going back to college, we discussed and eventually agreed on turning his bedroom into a room for our 12-year-old girl so she has her own space away from her little sister. He wasn't impressed when I brought up the idea, but agreed. However, before he left back for college a few days ago, he got into an argument with my husband complaining that it's unfair that he's lost his room and that he has nowhere to go when he comes back into home now. My other adult son also contacted me about the situation and essentially told me that it was a bad idea and that his brother is really upset, and just because he's been away for college a year doesn't mean he's all ready to lose a spot in the house. Last year, we didn't need the extra space, so his room stayed empty when he was at college. This year, it makes no sense to leave a bedroom empty and to make 2 girls 5 years apart in age share a room. He is still welcome home whenever if things change, e.g. he drops out. We can rearrange things again. Losing his room is temporary, as we don't normally have so many foster kids. When our other kids/grandkids visit, they happily use the air mattress in the den or bunk with a sibling, and he can do the same on his school break. He is most likely to have his room back by the next summer, and if not, we will figure out solutions then. I have explained all of this to him, but he's not hearing me. Am I the a-hole? I've bought new decor, etc. for the room and plan on decorating and moving our foster daughter in tomorrow. This one very much labeled as the a-hole because one of the top comments says that they don't have the room to foster properly, yet they still continue to do this. Plus, you're just saying that your biological kid can just basically get the same thing as your grandkid's treatment with the whole air mattress thing. Last I checked, when you have extended family come in, usually they don't stay the same length as any type of college-level school break. Am I the a-hole for leaving my son's wedding early? My son, Alan, 26M, has just recently gotten married to Helen, 25 to 26F. I love them both very much. It's relevant to mention that I really dislike parties and large gatherings. I'm not sociable at all, and I really just dislike them. So it was kind of a downer when I had heard that Alan and Helen were going to have a wedding with around 150 people. I told Alan ahead of time that I would probably leave early and that me and the rest of our family would take 2 cars so that they could stay if they wanted to. He looked like he didn't mind at the time, so at the wedding itself, at the ceremony, I basically told him that I was glad and it looked great, but I was going to go home. He asked if I was going to at least stay for cake or for food, but the food didn't look all that appetizing to me, so I told him I was just going to leave. He said, "Alright, whatever, just go," and I went back to my table to get my stuff. I told my wife, and she said that she didn't feel comfortable driving back alone. The venue was very far from us, and the roads were not that great. I said in that case she should come with me, and after some hemming and hawing, she agreed, so we left. Then, 2 days later, Alan's new wife bombarded me and my wife with messages that she was disgusted with us, saying horrible things about us, and insulting us as people and as parents. Really just sickening. I told her off and asked why she thought it was okay to talk to her in-laws like that, and she said that us leaving ruined the wedding for Alan, and that he was very upset for the rest of the night. He continued to berate us. I politely told her to leave us alone and called Alan, mainly to inform him that his wife had a temper that he should know about. When we talked about it, he basically started berating me too, and said things like, "You always do this," and "just leave me alone," before hanging up. I feel like I'm justified since I told him ahead of time that I wasn't going to stay. Am I the a-hole here? Edit, since so many people care about the details. Yes, there was a mother-son dance planned. Yes, he included me in the count for the food cost. Yes, I love him. No, this does not mean I do not care about him. Reading some of the comments on this one and stating as to why they were the a-hole, I'm kind of wondering why you even went in the first place. You very much just could have said no, but no, you decided to go. And if you were going to stay, then you might as well stay for more of it, like the whole father-mother-son dance thing, the food, and that was very much planned ahead. It very much feels like they probably could have saved some money if you had just decided not to go anyway also. And way to go getting upset at the son and telling him that his new wife has a temper. Yeah, no, very much that would be a justified response to somebody ditching a wedding. And you say that you loved your son, but you didn't even stick around for the mother-son dance. That very much, like, imagine being at your own wedding and you're the only person who doesn't have their mother that you invited to dance with. That's gotta do some kind of damage. You could say that you love your son all you want, you aren't exactly doing anything to really prove it. But with that is going to have to be with the video. If you guys would love to be absolutely amazing, show your support, and see more videos like this one in the near future, be sure to hit that like button, leave a comment down below to start up the wholesome internet discussions, and if you guys have not already, subscribe to the channel and turn on the notifications. I hope you guys are enjoying these longer format videos, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for watching, and bye-bye.